Hey Megan, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Six Sessions, the first of the new year. Six Sessions has given me the opportunity to chat with some amazing people in the growth space, mostly marketing, sales, and CX. They're designed for me to hang out with cool people on a Friday afternoon and not feel guilty about not doing real work. And today's guest is actually a client, so I feel even less guilty about hanging out. And the growth story today is amazing. She started with one of the world's best-known recruitment agencies as a 360 recruiter, and within 2 years was leading the global marketing team across 5 regions for a business with over 700 people. She's been involved with 2 mergers and acquisitions in the last 5 years, and she's currently looking to hire. If you want to understand how to run a geographically diverse marketing team, grow into a senior marketing role from the ground up, or want to understand how to successfully market a merger, today's guest is your go-to. Or at the very least, you'll be entertained for 30 minutes on a Friday afternoon. These chats are designed to be short and sweet, but hopefully full of insight. And it's definitely unfiltered, which makes it more fun. Although my son is off school sick today, so you may hear screams in the background. Joining us from Houston, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Airswift's very own Maegan Toups. Megan, welcome.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks for the intro.
Well, do you know what? I was super scared that I was going to stumble over my own words because this is the first one back after, and I don't know about you, but the first week back after New Year's, I find it difficult to actually think, let alone speak.
So the struggle's been real getting back into the groove after a couple weeks off.
So to kick things off, how was 2021 for you?
It was long. I'm glad it's over. I moved 3 times, so we're still getting settled. The walls may be a little blank, but we're getting there.
it's chic. I think it's one of those minimalist. I think.
Yeah, exactly. How was yours?
It was good. It was long, and I was definitely ready for a break. I think it was one of those years where it was amazing. Lots of good things happened from a business perspective, but I think it was also still struggling from the kind of the overlay of pandemic and dealing with working from home and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it was over, but it was a good year.
Yeah. Y'all are back in the office now, right?
Yeah, ish. So we have. So I think the official guidance from the government is work from home if you can. But we've taken the option to keep the office open for whoever wants to work there, because for us, we took the decision that yes, there are the obvious health risks with COVID, but actually the mental health risks of a lot of people are having to work from 1-bedroom flats and things like that. So we wanted to make sure that people had the opportunity to go and work from the office if they want to. There's only a handful of people who are using it, but it's there if people want it.
Cool.
What about for you guys? What's the deal in Houston? Is it?
Yeah, it's the same. A lot of people are doing a hybrid schedule. So that's been working well. You feel like you get a better work-life balance, have a couple of days at home, a couple of days in the office to collaborate and see your team members. So that's been one good thing from the pandemic.
So what's your main business? What does Airswift do? Obviously, I know you are a client, and I'm not this isn't me asking you
right.
now. I know. But what does Airswift do?
So we're a workforce solutions company for the wider energy industry. So workforce solutions is a broad term, very marketing kind of term, but it encompasses anything from talent acquisition, recruitment, all the way through to consulting. So we cover everything in between, and also provide global employment and mobility solutions, which has really spiked after the pandemic. A lot of companies can now hire talent anywhere since everyone is still working remote. So we have a lot of business owners coming to us saying, I want to employ someone in a different country or different region, but we don't understand how we need to set up the liabilities, the tax implications. And so we kind of guide them through that process and help them set up in country. So we cover the whole workforce solutions umbrella.
So that like helping companies set up in new regions. So it's something that we looked at around the pandemic time as well. And being frank, I didn't realize it was something you guys did until I was chatting to the team about it. Yeah. And it's one of those solutions that makes a huge amount of sense. And I'm not just saying that trying to sell your services, but it's one of those, so as an agency now, we are in, I think, five countries or something like that with various team members. And it makes sense for us to be able to very quickly wind up a region, or roll out a region is probably the better way of saying it, so that we don't have that kind of overlay headache of all the peripheral stuff around it. So I think I'm not surprised that service is booming
Yeah, and it's
during
something
those
that
times?
came organically for us because we're in 60 different locations around the world. So it's not like we're having to go through a partner in a lot of instances. We're already there, we're already set up, so we understand really how to do it because we've already done it.
And what's your role at Airswift?
I'm the global marketing director. So there's a team of 9 on the marketing team, and we oversee all of the company's marketing activities. So that ranges from PR to website management, content creation, social media, advertising, a little bit of everything, which I like. I get bored easily, so it's nice to have different things to pick from each day to keep a variety.
So, and you've got, is it 5 countries that your team's spread across?
I think so. Yeah. So we've got people in Malaysia and Rio de Janeiro and Houston. I'm the only one in Houston, weirdly. And then 4 in Manchester and 1 in Perth. So we're a little bit everywhere, which can make working together challenging due to the different time zones. But we do try and meet once a month. But at 6 a.m. my time, and then at 8 p.m. my boss's time since he's in Perth. But the UK has it the best. Y'all are like the central time zone, so it's really never inconvenient time for the UK.
I'll let Rob know that.
Yeah, he knows.
And what's the makeup of the team? So you're working in loads of different kind of areas and services. What's the makeup of the team, and how does that kind of function together?
So we have 3 content writers who are focused on specific verticals. So we have 1 writing on technology, 1 writing on our global employment and mobility line, and 1 on power and renewables, which has been really helpful for us to have content in-house. That's somewhat new for us over maybe the last 2 years. Where before we had outsourced it all to agencies and freelancers. And we still do a combination of both, but to just have a consistent flow of content that's providing useful material for our target audience to read has been great. And then we have a head of digital marketing who oversees the content and the content writers and the strategy, promotional strategy, the website. So everything that falls under that wide umbrella. We have an in-house videographer, media specialist who helps turn that content into a medium that people want to consume. So really short, snappy, engaging videos, which we're also very blessed to have in-house as well. And then we have me in Houston who kind of overseeing a little bit of everything. And then, yeah, I think that's broadly it.
And so over the past 5 years, you've been involved in 2 mergers.
Yeah.
From a marketing perspective, how do you approach that? How do you hone in on sort of the differences and similarities between the brands and make it work?
Yeah, so I feel really blessed to have done 2 in the last 5 years. I know a lot of people go through their whole career and don't ever do 1. So this has been great experience. The one 5 years ago was a merging of equals, I would say. So we were 2 competitors. We were about the same size. We were in a lot of the same locations, but we decided to go with a different brand name. So both legacy brands were pretty well known in the market. So we just decided we're going to start new. So that was a huge job. If you can imagine, updating your logo, creating a new website, everything where your name or logo is on it, you have to update and change. So that took significantly more time, but we just had it all planned out of we're going to do this by this date and set these milestones and set up new social media accounts and just really start all over and merge everything together.
Why make the decision to move away and go full brand, like new brand, because obviously there would have been some brand equity or like brand recognition in those. So why the shift?
We, funny enough, we had actually worked together in a joint venture. I think it was 10 or 15 years prior. And so the name that we worked on under that joint venture was what we chose to go with. It was Airswift. So it was Swift Worldwide Resources and Air Energy. And we had worked together for a project with a client before under that name and decided that we would go with that name and take the best from both of our logos, take the best from each name. And just, it really felt like that was the right thing to do to show that it was a true merge.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I totally cut you off there.
Oh, no, it's okay. And then we merged again last year in June. So, and we decided to keep the Airswift name this time around. Like you said, we had just kind of started over. And so we're still trying to build that brand equity from 5 years ago. So we didn't feel like changing this soon again would be the right thing to do. So it's been a crazy couple of years.
What's the biggest learning that you brought out of bringing companies together like that from a marketing perspective?
Well, the first time, it was my first time to ever do that. And we had substantially more time. We had about 6 months to do that. And this last go around, we had about 6 weeks. So it was good. We had that playbook to go from, and then now we have it again if we do that again. But I think it was just making sure you hit all those milestones that you thought of everything. Have we migrated everything over? Have we, so making sure you have a really solid plan, a really solid project management team to help you hold you accountable to deadlines is probably the most important takeaway.
And what about the team dynamics? Like, how do you bring together different marketers, different salespeople, different operations?
Yeah, it can be sticky. So again, making sure you have good HR guidance. The first time around, it was like I said, we were two basically equal size companies, so there was two of every role essentially. I had to re-interview for my job, and they had to decide who was going to take the role. We worked side by side for a while, and then so it was like that for a lot of functions. You're having to decide who takes the role or who moves into a different role, or do people get let go, or do they stay, or do you find a new home for them? How do you manage it all? So yeah, that was probably, it was interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you didn't start in marketing. So
No.
How did you get into growth? Like what made you jump from rec into growth?
Yeah, so I started in 2009, and there was an economic recession then, as you probably remember. And I was in a business development role, which is really challenging when there's a recession. So I'm calling into companies saying, can we help you hire? Are you looking for contractors? And they're like, I'm laying off half of my department. No, bye. So I try to be really nice to salespeople when they call me now, because I've been there and I get it. But anyway, that was difficult for probably a year and a half. And then the oil spill happened, and we were majorly involved in that and helping staff that, providing over 1,500 contractors in just a period of a couple of months. So we went from having really not a need for a business development role anymore, because then we had so much business, which was a great thing for the company, but maybe not such a great thing for my role at the time. So luckily I had a boss then who said, hey, I think we should start a marketing department. Do you have any marketing experience? Do you want to join, do this with me? And I said, okay, yeah, let's do it. So we did it together and started from the ground up, really redid the website, redid our brochures, just set up a proper marketing strategy, budget, and put some structure around it, where before our marketing really involved more client entertainment, I would say. So hosting, parties or happy hours or events, but not a lot of thought behind, structured marketing as you would traditionally think of it.
Are you glad you made the jump?
I am, yes. I am. Sales isn't for me, I don't think. Business development, it's not easy. So I enjoy being in the marketing role that I'm in now, but I'm grateful that I started on that side, because I understand how the business works and what we do, and the target audience we're trying to go after, what content is helpful, what's not. So it was good experience that I have taken with me in our marketing plans.
Some of the best marketers that I know have come through like a sales background, and I stand by it. I think of all of these interviews that I've done, I think only 2 people planned to go into marketing. Everybody else has fallen into it through some other avenue.
Yeah.
But I think the best marketers I know have an understanding of sales to a level where they can appreciate it and then adapt off the back of that.
Right.
Yeppe's got a good question. So in a brand change like that, so where you dissolved the 2 brands and moved into a single brand, how long would you expect it to take to get back to the same kind of website traction that you had across the two?
Yeah, I mean, it took a couple of years, to be honest. We redirected both of the sites. We ran ads. We were producing content, and that's sort of when we started our SEO as well. So we were just sort of getting that off the ground too, which organically can take a while to build that credibility and get that brand notoriety and recognition, and to be found. So it did take a couple of years.
Yeah, I guess as a, like, whenever you do some sort of seismic site shift like that, there's always that heart and mouth moment of like, I think it's going to come back.
Right.
Put everything in place. I promise this is going to work. Just hold
Right.
with me.
But yeah, scary to see it drop off at first, and then you have to build it back, and it does come back.
So in your opinion, what's the most important growth play for companies at the moment?
I think finding the right talent right now is really key, and that you can have all these grandiose plans and strategies and vision of where you want to go, but if you don't have the right people in place to do it, you're not going to get there. And I've made that mistake before, hiring the wrong person, and it's so detrimental. I think that can be the right thing, and it's a challenge I know a lot of companies are facing right now as we're looking at the Great Resignation and people, just reprioritizing what they want to do with their work-life balance. So I think getting the right people on board is key, and hiring people who are better than you. I know you've posted about that before, and I agree. It's so important.
What's your like tips to hiring people in the marketing space? Like, what do you have any kind of set rules, or do you have any magic questions that you ask? Like, what are the things that you look for when you hire somebody?
Yeah, I think having the right resume is really just getting your foot in the door. So I think too many times people can focus on your resume and spend so much time, and that is important, but that's really just kind of getting the interview. And then once we talk to people, I think it's assessing, are they going to be a culture fit? Do they have the right drivers to be successful, to want to grow? Are they intrinsically motivated or extrinsically motivated? Are they better than you? Like I said, like, be self-aware of maybe where you have gaps in your career, and it's okay. We all do have different strengths. So hire to maybe your weakness, make sure you have it as a strength in someone else, so that as a team, you're more well-balanced and you're stronger together.
I love that. It's and that point on the resume is just getting you through the door. So like, I am never the first point of contact I'm not the one who goes through the resumes or looks at the applications. So I normally have an assumption by the time they get to me, that stuff has been kind of reviewed.
Right.
So, and I would much rather somebody talk me through their experiences and have a conversation around it, because I think for me, one of the most important things that I look for, absolutely culture, but also the ability for me to have a conversation with that person and for them to be able to hold court and tell the story of their, I was going to say upbringing them, but that's not what I mean, but like their progression through their career. So right. I very rarely look at the CV other than a cursory kind of glance, which probably horrifies our HR manager. So hopefully she's not listening.
Yeah. And behavioral questions are always good too, which I know you expect in an interview, but I think those help give some more color that you won't get by just asking about their experience. So tell me about a time when this happened, or how did you handle this, or how would you go about this? And you can just see how they think. And I think that's important.
I've always wanted to have a go at one of do you remember it was quite famous, like the Google recruitment question. So, and I think one of them at one point was, how many ping pong balls could you get in a like Boeing 747? And they're not actually looking for the answer. They're looking for how you would methodically start to go through that process. So like, are they inflated balls or have they been crushed? Like that kind of thing. So yeah, I always wanted to have a go at it, but I never quite got that.
That's a good one. We're going to write that down for our next interview.
Who do you follow in the growth space? Like, how do you keep up to date with what's going on?
I really like Marcus Sheridan. He's the author of They Ask You Answer. And I loved that book. I read it last year and just think he has such he simplifies it, right? He makes it so easy. Just write and talk about what your clients want the answers to. They ask, you answer. So I just think his posts and all of his content that he puts out is just simplifies the approach to marketing. If you're providing helpful content, your clients are going to find you, and if it helps them, they're going to work with you, Yeah.
It's so that book is very well read within like the agency space that we work in. So most agencies who work in like the HubSpot ecosystem will have engaged with that at some point. And it is a great way to look at it. But so putting that into action, how do you understand what your clients are asking, your prospects are asking?
Yeah. So we look at, SEO and the search terms and what are people searching for, and then look at our site analytics as well. What are they spending time on? And then we just make sure we adapt that into the they ask you answer philosophy into our content strategy. So is this blog we're writing, does it solve a challenge that a client has? Does it speak, to the way they want to hear it? Is it easy to understand? Do we have a video summary? Is it broken down to where they can skip to the points they want? So just taking it across every channel, and same for case studies. Is it written from the perspective of the client? So are you saying, we helped our client solve this challenge and look at us and look what we did? Or are you saying they had this pain point and we really helped this is how it was addressed and how it solved a problem? They want to hear the latter, not the former. So if you're just talking about your work and how great you did, they don't really care. You need to put it into the perspective of how can another potential client visualize, oh, I have the same problem too, and they helped them solve it, and I want them to help me solve it too.
How does sales and marketing work together at Airswift?
So we follow an inbound marketing approach, which, and HubSpot promotes and preaches as well. And so what we do is we provide inbound leads to the sales team. So our job as the marketing team is to write all this content, to put it out there, to increase the brand notoriety, and then get someone to the point of that form or downloading that piece of content or that webinar, and then sending that to sales. And so our sales team is on top of it. As soon as it comes in, they say, I've got it. And then it's on to them from there. So it's a collaborative approach where they're getting inbound leads who have read helpful content. They're ready to engage with sales. They're ready to buy. And then we work with sales on making sure we help close the loop.
And so with that, like the sales and marketing alignment there, do you use feedback from sales to help determine some of those questions as well?
Yeah, or if they're not qualified, then we can find out why or what happened, or why did we lose, or why did they go to someone else, and how can we make this better? But I do feel like we've refined those questions down, and generally people aren't getting through that aren't qualified. It's few and far between, where that wasn't the case in the beginning. It did require some tweaking, some adjusting, but I feel like we're there now.
I've got another question from somebody on LinkedIn. I'd love to know your best tip or piece of advice for junior marketers excited to progress in their career.
Oh, good one. I guess it would depend on what avenue that they're particularly interested in. But if it's a certain area, then I would just say, always keep learning. Never stop learning. Keep researching. There's, tons of trainings available on LinkedIn Learning, on HubSpot Academy. Just make sure you are taking the necessary steps to grow in that career path, and specialize. I think that's find what you're really passionate about, specialize on it, and then grow and learn in that field.
So I'd go down the same route, but before specializing, I would say try as much as you can. So get involved across the board as much as you can, so that you figure out what it is that you are interested in. Because if you start something and you say, I want to do content marketing, actually you might be really good at some of the peripheral stuff around content marketing that you kind of end up blinking to. But absolutely, once you find the thing that you're passionate about, specialize, because people look for those roles to come in and fill within their business.
Right.
What's your biggest career fuck up? The one you learned the most from? This is always my favorite question.
I mean, I touched on it earlier, but I think it's hiring the wrong people. I think there's not a certain, instance or funny story I can tell you about probably what you're looking for, but it just would come down to that. I hired the wrong person. I was stressed maybe and needed to hire fast and just needed someone in, and it ended up being the wrong thing. And then it's just so much more of a headache. So that's happened a couple of times earlier in my career when, I feel like I have a better handle on it now. I really make sure we go through the interview process and that we talk to a lot of people. We go through multiple rounds of interviews. We talk about the questions we talked about, but having the right people is so key. And then once they're there, keeping them there, you don't want them to go. So making sure that you're hiring people that are going to boost your, complement your weaknesses, like I said, and then make sure that they're happy. So on my team, I try to, I never take credit for anything that they do. I want to make sure they get the glory, that they're getting elevated, that everyone in the business knows they did that work and that they continue to feel valued and appreciated.
It's a nice approach. What excites you most about marketing and growth at the moment?
I like all the focus around sustainability and around, I think that's come out of COVID-19 and it's part of the hiring trends that we're seeing as well, that people want to work for an environmentally conscious and friendly company. And that makes it a decision of whether they're going to go or stay, or do your values align with the company that you're working with or you want to work with. So I think there's some fun marketing angles from that we can do.
What about, are there any new tactics or strategies that you're starting to play with?
Not so much, more maybe some on the technology side. So we're just looking to optimize a few of the systems that we use to just further drive process efficiencies and customer experience. So more to come.
Well, that segues beautifully into my last question. What are your plans for 2022 for you and for Airswift?
Yeah. So we're going to be focusing on the technology industry. We already are, but that's a space where we've been seeing rapid growth. So like I said, we have a content writer focused on technology, and that's a skill set that's in high demand, filling those roles. And then also the global employment mobility, service that we talked about as well. Again, that we're seeing rapid growth there. So from the marketing side, we'll continue to help our sales teams by writing content for those markets and pieces. We did a talent retention white paper last year as well. So I would encourage everyone to look at that on our website too, that has some of these strategies of how to attract and retain talent and how it's shifted over the last couple of years due to the pandemic. So hopefully we'll do another white paper like that, perhaps focused on the technology side.
How can people find that? Just Google Airswift Talent Retention Report or something like that?
Yeah, it's on our website, Talent Retention. If you just search that in the bar, it should come up.
Perfect. Good. Maegan, thanks for being up for doing 6 sessions with me. If anybody wants to follow up with you, how do you want people to connect?
LinkedIn is good. Maegan Toups on LinkedIn.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Next week, we have HubSpot's John Dick joining us. So see you then. Maegan, thank you again. It's been fun.
Thanks, Rich.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.